hello, everybody. It is Wednesday. You're back at Hammer Away. That's right. Today, soon, coming up, in about 15 minutes, fellow metalhead and comedian Jim Florentine will join us for a quick live chat.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Oh, so it's a beautiful thing. He'll be here shortly. Got my Kiss stuff on today. It's just nice and warm. It's kind of chilly out there today, which I love. This is beautiful Viking weather out there now. I love fall when it's getting into this part of it. And everybody's like, well, it's going to get cooler. And you're like, well, right, it's supposed to be. That's what fall is. So, but yeah, I told a friend of mine maybe we'd go out and go outside tomorrow when we normally get together and inside and have some coffee and stuff. And I was like, maybe we'll go outside. And then I was outside earlier going, maybe it's too cold to be outside doing that, but we'll find out. But we'll find out. Nonetheless, here, let me just go over a little bit of this information with you here. I wanted to drop this in, so maybe I'll do that real quick here. I'll just drop in this photo so that you guys can be looking at that while I'm checking this out. Yeah. I hope everybody's having a great day. The war to end all wars continues. The kitchen is getting done currently, so that's pretty cool. Looked at some countertops today. I don't know if you've ever done that or if you've been in the midst of a remodeling situation, as I've talked about before, but it is hectic and there's a lot of things to do and there's a lot of things to pick out and everything. But here's the story on this before I get to this intro piece here. Jim will join me and then I'll just pop him on the screen. But looking for the countertops, I wasn't looking forward to that. I didn't quite know where I wanted to go, if I wanted to go with where I was getting the cabinets and everything like that, or if I wanted to go elsewhere. Well, my friend mentioned the other day a place that's not too far from here, about 15 minutes from where I work. So yesterday I went there to check, or sorry, was it yesterday? 2 days ago. No? Yeah, 2 days ago. Yep. Um, and went and met up with a gentleman, Jay. He's out at Rock Solid Creations, and they have the countertop stuff there. So it's out there in Chesterfield. So it's pretty cool. We sat down, and I said it like this. The conversation, let's see how wide I can get my hands here in the screen. Okay, so the conversation was this long, and about this much of it was about the countertops. We immediately started talking about music, and I'm just like, well, yeah, that's just the way it goes. So we kept on talking and things like that, and it was hilarious. I'm just like, I went there right after work, so that means I got there about 3 o'clock, and I didn't leave and start. I went and got dinner somewhere right nearby at I guess about 7 o'clock. So not like going in for a business meeting, have a big, huge discussion, and this much of it was business. But it's all about the real business of life and music and talking about things you have in common. So it was great. It was awesome. But anyway, here I'm going to put this up and we'll kind of read this piece to you here, a little bit about Jim, for those of you who maybe aren't as familiar. For nearly 25 years, Jim Florentine has been making audiences around the world laugh across nearly every type of media. Jim has recorded 6 stand-up comedy albums and shot 4 full-length specials. On television, Jim hosted 7 seasons of VH1 Classics That Metal Show, as well as lending his voice to the groundbreaking Crank Yankers. On radio, Jim has been a regular on the Howard Stern Show, the Opie and Anthony Show, and currently hosts his own program on Sirius XM. In addition, Jim is a best-selling author, world-renowned voiceover talent, and has been featured in the films Beer League with Artie Lang and Trainwreck with Amy Schumer. So some really cool things he's done in his career so far. We are basically the same age. He's born in August, and I'm a November guy. So we're both the last year of the boomers. So always interesting to talk to somebody that's exactly your same age, pretty much. Um, I don't find that too often either. It's just a little below, or a little older, but rarely right on the mark. Um, One last thing I wanted to say too is I handed over a few cool things to Jay today when we went out and looked at the countertops, and he gave me this, if you can believe it, along with um, a stack of protective covers for albums. He had a bunch. He had meant to order something else, and he got the outer sleeves instead. But look at this. He brought me this today. It's brand new. It's still sealed. It is Glenn Campbell, That Christmas Feeling on vinyl. How about that? Still sealed. Pretty cool. He's like, you like that, right? I was like, hell yeah, I do. When I was a kid, Glenn Campbell was huge. Um, and in fact, some of my wife's relatives, when we got married, they were like, oh, he looks like Glenn Campbell, who I always thought that even though it was voiced by Mickey Rooney, I always thought that the Kris Kringle character in the little stop action uh, done by Rankin and Bass for Santa Claus is Coming to Town. I'm like, they modeled that guy, Kris Kringle, right after Glenn Campbell. I mean, just look at this. Next time you see it, just take a look at that. You know, this guy did some great work for all those years. And if you haven't seen the movie that they put out, the documentary, um, right before he passed, when he was doing his final tour with some of his kids on tour with him, playing in the band, do it. It's really, really good. If I can remember the name of that movie, let me see if I can. Let me see if I. Oh, I want to leave that page up because. Um, but yeah, the name of that movie, Glenn Campbell. Whoop. Um, it's really worthwhile. Let's see. Let's see if we can do this. I remember what was the name of the album? It had Ghost on it or something. Let's see, film. Boy, Glenn Campbell. I'll Be Me. That's what it is. I'll Be Me. I remember, I think I've talked about it on the show before. The interesting part about the beginning, I do believe it was right in the beginning where they had a doctor's appointment and they're like, who's the president? What year is it? All these different things. And he didn't know a lot of those things. But I mean, first of all, he was having mental issues, but there again, it's also comes down to a situation where these aren't things that on the norm anyway. Not an excuse for anything like that. I'm just saying, yes, you could tell there was some things failing there, but he said out loud, "Why do I need to know that?" And that would be true. It's like at some point, everybody's telling him where to go, where to be, when to be, and he's just. And the question was relevant. Why would I need to know that? So it's kind of wild. But yeah, I'll Be Me. His music is legendary. His story is human. So check it out. I guess it says it's on Prime and on Pluto and Tubi. So check it out. I might have to watch that again. Even though it's kind of moving and things like that. It's a good watch, and just to see some of the live footage and stuff too. And if you haven't seen the movie about the Tragically Hip, be sure and check that out. I'm gonna look that up for you too. Um, it came out in 2017. Let me see if I can. Let's see if we can. Yeah, there it is. Documentary, No Dress Rehearsal. Oh, wow. There's No Dress Rehearsal is a okay. Is that what that was? Was it a series? An insightful exploration of the groundbreaking Canadian band's rise, impact, and enduring influence, capturing their essence and cultural significance. Um, it says it's new. It's a TV series. All right, it's 4 hours and 16 minutes long. I don't know how many episodes there are, but that's pretty wild. I watched the film. Um, Long time running is what I watched. That was in 2017 when he passed, lead singer passed, Gord Downey, and that was a grand film as well. That was really good. Um, we were just discussing that the other day, and I was thinking it had been longer than 2017, but no, that was it, 2017. But yeah, it's an hour and 37 minutes. Check it out. See if I can figure out where you can see it. Um, Long time running streaming. Let's put that and see what they say. So yeah, Apple TV, you can watch it, and that might be it for now. But yeah, so I'll be talking about these dates and things that Jim is here in town and should be here in just a few minutes. I have been watching some of those scary films. I bought, you know, I bought the Halloween 2 and I bought Halloween 3. Halloween 2, I don't know. I remember it being better. Halloween is Halloween. I mean, it's great. I did notice this time. I did notice the palm trees in the background, and that was kind of cool. When they had the long shot going down the street, and you're seeing palm trees in the distance, and all of the times that the leaves are falling, and those were leaves that they had brought in, and were blowing across the set. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, that second one was not good. There was a lot of strange things. There were things that just all of a sudden appeared, and he was talking about some old Norse. Is it Norse or Irish or Scottish? Maybe it was Scottish. Yeah, I think that's what the Sam Hain thing. I'm like, what is this all about? And he wasn't as large and ominous, and he was kind of, and the mask was different. It was very strange and slow and plotting. And I'm like, okay, so what I did was I speeded it up. I'm kind of into that. So I had the DVD, so I had it in my PlayStation. So I just beefed up the speed to 1.5 for the I don't know, the latter half of the movie, and that was much better. I mean, there was a lot of time spent with her crawling around on the floor, and then sometimes after she had been running, you're like, okay, wait a minute, which is it? Are you hurt and running? Are you whatever it is? So, so yeah. Uh, Feel free to chime in if you got any questions, especially when Jim is here. Feel free to get some of the questions in if you could do them now early so we could have them ready to roll. And then, but otherwise, you know, maybe you'll think of something while we're talking. And in fact, I tell you what, I'm going to take this window and I think I'm going to try to shove it over here. And then I'm going to make it a little smaller. Let me see if we can do that here. Bum, 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 bum. Where's my? All right, there we go. There we go. And I'm going to back it out. There we go. All right. So, yeah. So, hopefully, he'll be here very shortly. And we'll get rolling on this. And then I, again, with the house being in disarray right now, I had something else that I wanted to do after this, but I was unable to find the notebook in which I put it. I have a feeling it's just going to show up right here, but I want to get back to doing my cross rocks, the trivia puzzles and things like that. So, um, I might check in and just make sure. Let's see here. Let's see if I can check in. All right. I can just let him know that I'm ready to roll whenever he's ready. And that's where it helps out. If you guys have any questions or things you want to talk about, let me know while we're here, and we will talk about some things. I wanted to get into some of the time. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll just talk about it now. So if you're here in the St. Louis area or making a trip this weekend, Jim Florentine is going to be at the Funny Bone at the Streets of St. Charles, here in Missouri, just across the river from St. Louis here. Thursday, which is tomorrow, which is my birthday. So tomorrow on my birthday, he's going to have a show at 7:30 there at the Funny Bone. On Friday, he has two shows. One at 7:30 and then another at 9:30. And then Saturday, there's a show at 7 and then one at 9:30. And I'm thinking, I don't know that he has anything on Sunday, but those were the ones that were listed on the website. So one show tomorrow on Thursday on the 21st, 22nd, there's two shows, one at 7:30, one at 9:30, and then Saturday, one at 7 on the November 23rd is 7 p.m. and we have 9:30 p.m. And he is here, so let's bring him on in. Hello, Jim. How's it going?
What's going on, man? Sorry, I got to do it from my car. I'm not at home.
That's cool. We've done that before. Yeah, I had Gavin Evick was on his phone in his car right before he went home from work a while back as I was interviewing him. Well, thanks for being on with us today. I know you don't have a lot of time, but we'll get through some things. And thanks for coming into town for my birthday. I'm surprised you knew that.
No, I caught wind of it, and I made sure my agent booked me that weekend of your birthday. It was crazy.
That is crazy. I don't know who's letting my birthday out everywhere. I don't get it, but thank God you heard about it. So, so we have. Hey, Ron Matthews, look at that. Ron saying hello.
Ron's great.
He is. He's a freaking. I said he was a bunny. He is like a rabbit. He is like a freaking rabbit. He is here, there, somewhere else. We were at a bar together the other night. He was right there. I went over to talk to him and his friends, and when I got there, he was gone. It was weird.
Yeah, he's got a million things going on. Yeah, I hang with him when I get in town. Like he'll pick me up from the airport. We hang out and stuff. He'll drive me to do some radio and all that. He's great.
Yeah, we've been hanging out a lot. We met up a while back, and he freaked me out when he told me his brother-in-law was Robert Barry. And I was just like, wait, what? Because I'm like, how many people know who the hell that is? There are some, people that are really into music, and they know exactly who that is.
No, it's amazing his knowledge of music. It's way deeper than mine. I thought I was hard rock stuff, but he knows all the 70s rock and all that stuff. The original bass player in Foghat that played on the first demo. His knowledge is amazing.
Yeah. I throw back into a lot of that myself. Now, you caught me on that one. I wouldn't have been able to do that one. But I was just listening to some Foghat. It's so weird that you just mentioned that. I was listening to Boogie Motel, and it's such a great record. Great record. Well, I usually do a lightning round, so these are just quick answers. So I'll do that with you here real quick.
All right.
Where did you learn? You were one of 7 kids. Where did you land in that list?
Right in the middle.
Right in the middle. All right. So how did you feel about the oldest and the youngest?
I don't know. It didn't really affect me. My 2 older brothers are the ones that got me in the hard rock and metal.
Okay.
So that was good.
Another one.
That was great. So, and then the younger ones were good. We're all pretty much born one year after another, Irish Catholic family. That's the way they did it.
Gotcha.
So no, it was great, and we're still close to this day. And yeah, I never really had any animosity towards any of them.
That's great. That's really cool. I grew up with two older brothers, and I could bitch about that now and again about certain little things every day. But there was a time where my middle brother and I just didn't get along. Every day we would have a disagreement, and I freaking hated it. But we're good and tight now. Everything's cool, and and everything. But so I'm glad to hear that from you too. I mean, from a big family like that, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Did you collect vinyl? We're the same age. Did you collect vinyl when you were growing up?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was
what was your first album?
I don't remember. It might have been, see, because my older brothers had the music, they were buying it, and I was listening to it in the car, and we had like a pool room in our house where we played pool.
Damn.
We converted a room into pool, so we'd always be cranking the music there. But I remember getting the first Iron Maiden record and seeing the cover, and I'm like, man, this has got to be good. I heard things about them and stuff, so that might have been the first one. But I was still before that, I was into Aerosmith, Ted Nugent, AC/DC, Sabbath, and Priest before that. But I would think that probably maybe the first one that I actually bought.
Wow. That's really cool. That's cool. Yeah, Aerosmith was huge with me. Blue Oyster Cult was huge with me through my brother. I'm the same way. Through my brother, he got me into a lot of that stuff. And I'll never forget my mom buying Styx 2 because it had Toccata and Fugue on it. And she's like, oh, here's a little rock and roll, a little culture with some of their rock and roll. I was like, okay. It was a great record. I love it. I love it. What's one of the two bands, one or two of the bands that you have learned to appreciate that you didn't at the time of the release or when they were at the height of their career?
Thin Lizzy. I just knew a couple of songs, and then about 15 years ago, I really started getting into them. I don't know why I missed a boat on them. And then, I mean, even to this day, I find another gem on one of their albums. I'm like, man, this is another great song. So they had so many good songs. I think they put 11 albums out. Yeah. But it really I never really got into them at all. I just knew the two hits they were playing on the radio. And they're probably in my top 10 favorite bands.
Yes, absolutely. That's kind of the way I feel too. And I'd had Jailbreak for years, but didn't step too far beyond that. I had Chinatown, and there was some great stuff on that, but getting into Black Rose and some of the Renegade and all these other records, I was flipping out when I got into those. It was awesome. They should have had so many more hits in America, like Hollywood.
Yep. Should have been a huge radio hit.
Yes.
In America, that should still be a classic song today. For some reason, I don't know. I was reading up on them. They said a lot of their tours, when they come to America, something bad always happens. Someone got sick, the tour got canceled. There was always some problems with breaking in America, so they never really did.
Wow, man. I was very fortunate when we took a trip over, maybe it's getting near 10 years ago now, unfortunately. Wow, it just speeds by. When we went to Ireland, I had a chance to speak with Jim Fitzpatrick that did their covers. I talked to him over the phone. He was real busy at the time, so we couldn't get together, but he was great. It was great talking to him about that.
Yeah.
Just amazing stuff. So you being a comedian, what's a favorite comedy record from when you were growing up?
Well, the Andrew Dice Clay, The Day the Laughter Died.
Okay.
Those records, but the Rodney Dangerfield, those records, his records were great too. And, but I'm thinking it was Rodney, but then the Dice stuff really, like the first Dice album, and then The Day the Laughter Died, where he basically goes in a club and bombs, and it's like a double album. To me, I was fascinated by that.
That is wild. Oh my gosh.
Did you ever hear those records?
No, I wasn't into those. I was always into Cheech and Chong records, Carlin records, and then I was trying to think. And then of course that trilogy of Steve Martin records. I was into those a lot, but not a lot of fringe artists. There wasn't a lot of some of the other ones like that. Then the 80s.
Kinison too. Sam Kinison, Have You Seen Me Lately? That was a big one for me too.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. I loved it when, of course, and then he did Wild Thing, his cover of Wild Thing, and it's really wild. Do you know
Yeah.
there was a band called Fancy? Did you ever hear about that band?
No.
They had two female singers, and they had we have I still have it, the single, and it has Fancy, which was their title track, and then on the flip side was their version of Wild Thing, and two different singers though. It's from two different albums. But I looked at the album cover later. I'm bringing this up because of who you mentioned earlier. Right in the middle, with his standing with the woman in the middle of the album cover, there's this guy. I'm like, is that Les Binks? Do you remember Les Binks? He was the
Yeah, he
drummer
was a
on No
drummer
Need
and
for Leather.
Priest. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what he did right before Judas Priest. He did a band called
Huh.
Fancy. Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought you were going to say Ron Matthews was in between the two girls.
It's always possible. And then he was
Yeah.
gone. He was
Right.
there.
Yeah. No, I
Les
didn't know
Binks
that. I mean,
shows up.
Priest went through a bunch of different drummers, but Les, yeah, I didn't know that he was.
They did.
That was his project before Priest.
Yeah. And I'll ask you right now, would you mind if I kept in touch with you about maybe joining me for an interesting show about stuff like that? We could
Like what?
like talking about some of those bands where it was like these things happened, like they went through drummers and everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be cool. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to be part of a press conference with Priest on that Turbo tour. That was really cool. And did you ever get in, lastly then for the lightning round, did you ever get into any of the novelty music and stuff that growing up, like Ray Stevens? He had the Streak, and did you ever we were the same age as, so I just was wondering if on the East Coast where you were and stuff, if you were into that stuff.
What do you mean the novelty music?
Well, there was you remember Dickie Goodman? I was really into those where he did
I don't
Mr.
know.
Jaws and the Energy Crisis, and he'd put pieces of songs in, and he'd be like, Mr. Jaws, Jaws was huge. He's like, Mr. Jaws, what would what did she say when you were about ready to eat her? And they play Olivia Newton-John, please, Mr. Please. And then it goes back and he goes, so whatever, here's Sheriff whatever, and they're talking about the movie. So it's just kind of interesting.
No.
Comedy. Dr. Demento.
I never really got into. You're talking about comedy or music with that stuff?
And music a lot of times.
Yeah.
Like Ray Stevens.
No, I never did. I like I said, my older brothers, whatever they brought home, I basically listened to. And that was it. The only thing I got into, the only rock stuff that they were into was the Stones and the Doors. Other than that, it was all hard rock.
Gotcha. What about your parents? What did they listen to?
My dad listened to 50s music.
Okay.
He was a big into the doo-wop and all that 50s stuff, which is good. So when we drive around as kids, he would have that on because that was his favorite music. I learned to like it. It was good music. Bill Haley and the Comets and all those songs and stuff like that. The Wanderer, Dion, and all that. So
Buddy Holly,
I like that stuff too. Buddy Holly, yeah. So that was his music.
That's awesome. Did he go as far as into some of the 60s, like the Beatles? Did they ever like that?
No, he was pure 50s.
That's it. There you go.
Yeah.
There's a lot of folks just like that. They love that, and I get it. I got into barbershop quartet when I was a kid because that's what my parents took us to. We went and got into that, and those are probably where my harmonies and things like that came from.
Right.
So getting into your stuff here to wrap up here, how would you describe your style of comedy for folks who maybe aren't that familiar, and you're coming in for quite a few shows this weekend in St. Louis area?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's just observational comedy. Whatever's going on in my life is what I talk about.
Gotcha.
So it all depends. But yeah, I mean, it's not for the faint-hearted.
No,
it's a little edgy, and
that's exactly
I like pushing buttons. Yeah, I like to ride that line. Sometimes I go over it, sometimes I don't, but I always like taking that chance and seeing how the audience is going to react. I get a rush out of that. So
yeah,
I'm always trying to push things.
I think of it, your comedy, being a comedian, especially if you're going to be a little edgy, it's a lot like a tightrope walker. because
Yeah.
you're like, well, sometimes maybe I'm not going to make it all the way across this time. Maybe I am going to fall, but that's why everybody shows up.
Yeah, I just that was always the style I like when I started doing comedies,
Yeah.
riding that line,
Yeah.
and then going over it sometimes, maybe not, or whatever like that. I never liked to play it safe.
Yeah. Yeah. And then did you find that working with Don, did you find that the same? Does he have that same kind of a feel about him, or did you bring him to doing something like that? I don't know. I
No,
don't know
that was
about your
his own.
relationship exactly.
Yeah, no. We toured a lot together and stuff. We're really good friends. No, he's got his own style, but he definitely rides the line too. He likes that too. I think it's an East Coast thing. I think like most of the East Coast comics are like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That we just kind of like, we're just, we're abrasive and we're rough, rough around the edges, and that comes out in our stand up.
That's awesome. I did have the pleasure of meeting Don Jameson down in Nashville a few years ago at the ROCKIT Pod. I was seeing the Appice brothers, and he was standing right there talking with them. And how often do you guys get together? Do you see each other pretty regularly, you and Eddie and Don? And
Yeah, I mean, Don, me and Don do stand up, so we do a lot of shows together when we can. If he's, and Eddie, we see Eddie a couple times, once a month or so. He's always traveling. He's got a place in Vegas now, so he's back and forth.
cool.
So we don't see him as much because he's not on the stand up circuit. But we're all live in Jersey. We're all still friends.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is there much of a see? Because we the people who watch, and the reason that people do shows and create different entertainment for other people, like that metal show, which is one of my favorite shows, is on your side of it, is there a lot of, man, I wish we could be doing that still? Or are you like, well, I've got plenty going on. That would be nice, but I mean, it's such a hassle to try to get it together, and you know what I mean?
No, I mean, when we filmed it, we did like 2 episodes a day. So we pretty much, it only take like 2 or 3 weeks out of a whole year to film, a season. So it wasn't that much work. So no, I would love for it to still be on, get that exposure and stuff. But, all TV shows eventually go away. But we had a good run, 8 years, like 130 episodes. So you can't complain.
Well, and I think the cool thing about the format was that you could do it. It wasn't like you ever jumped the shark. It's not like, well, it went over the edge and they really got commercial and it was a bunch of crap after a while. You never got to that level. It just
we didn't. And then what happened was the company, basically Viacom, just came in and did some major cuts because they were losing a ton of money. So they just took away the whole channel, VH1 Classic. So it wasn't about our ratings or anything like that, because we still had a loyal audience. Yeah. It was just more of a corporate company thing. They just, we had to come in and just cut everything. So we were part of it along with the whole channel. So if they never came in and they didn't go broke, Viacom, we'd probably still be on the air, still doing the same show.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of it. Do you think that there's I was thinking about this too with a lot of the hard rock music. A lot of the bands that I'm interviewing a lot of times aren't huge bands, but they're bands with music that's good. I mean, I deem this stuff, some of it's a little bit of a throwback, but some of it's got a newer feel. Do you find that there's a better energy in that hard rock music that people are making now than there was when we watched a lot of the hair metal bands? People can blame whatever they want to blame it on, whether it's, the 90s music or whatever, but they stopped writing some really interesting music after a while. It just was insincere.
I think that was coming from the record companies, right? They wanted you to right. 2 poppy hits and then a ballad. Yep. Every album had to have that. Bring in a songwriter, Desmond Child or something. Yes. We need you to write your hit. He worked with Bon Jovi. He'll write your hit. And that was the formula. And after a while, it just got boring. Yeah. And MTV started to move on and the radio stations started to move on. And then when grunge came, People kind of like, it did peter out. Like you can only do the same formula for so long. There was so many bands looked exactly alike, sounded alike,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
so it needed to go away for a little while, I think.
Yeah. I just can imagine that you and I, and Don and Eddie, folks like us, would I take offense. I would take offense, not like, oh, not that kind of offense, but I'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Offense when bands would get on stage and go, metal's back. I'm like, motherfucker, it never left my house. It's right here. I got it in all my music. It's right here in my heart. I love metal. It never went away for me. And it just gives me I get a kick out of that because I'm like, there's so much good music still.
I think that, it just went underground. Like, there was the times have changed where MTV was the place to get music and regular radio was too. But MTV was breaking so many bands and it was a visual aspect to it. And everyone had the channel on. It was fascinating at that time. And they mixed in, metal with regular rock and pop and everything. So you saw everything on there. And then when that went away, metal kind of went underground, but there's still bands selling out everywhere and stuff like that. I like it when it's better when it's underground.
Yeah, you get it. So that thanks exactly for saying that, because it led me to my next question that I just made up. What's a band that you really dig that you're like, why isn't this getting more? Why don't people know about this? Or let's just be more on a positive step and say, just listen to this. You got to hear this.
Well, there's a band out of Canada, Danko Jones.
Oh, yeah.
Writes good, like hard rock, kind of, poppy hits that could easily be played on the radio. They've never made it in the States. And then there's a guy, Wednesday 13, who used to be in the Murder Dolls, who writes great. It's a cross between like Alice Cooper and Motley meets Motley Crue and Twisted Sister. He's been around forever, writes great songs. So I just don't know. There's just, the radio is kind of, it doesn't fit in any format on the radio. I think the Danko Jones stuff probably would, but for some reason it just doesn't get any airplay. But the Wednesday 13, I love that style of music, like the cross between like Motley and Alice Cooper and Twisted Sister, little Rob Zombie thrown in.
How about
that mix? So
yeah, how about I just was talking yesterday with Sam Bam Colton. He's playing tonight and tomorrow with Crossbone Scully. That's a pretty nice set of music right there. I was checking out yesterday.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I don't know. But what was the original question? I'm sorry, you were saying about
just
those. Well, those are the two I think that probably should.
Yeah.
Get some recognition. They don't really. Whether they should be on the Oldies festivals that are on in the States, so maybe get a little more exposure, but they never picked.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of Wayward Sons? That's a band I'm always talking about out of the UK with Toby Jepson.
No.
Oh, I would love for you to check them out. So
yeah, I will.
Yeah, Wayward Sons from the UK. There's the one on the West Coast where they put wigs on and they play old stuff, but that's not it. These guys are from the UK.
Okay.
Just fantastic. 3 albums, and they're all great. There's 4 technically. I keep forgetting about the 4th one. We already talked about what got you into metal. Did you have, as great as that metal show was, and I couldn't imagine having guests on twice a day like that for the ones that you had, that must have been amazing for us that are also fans, of that stuff. Was there one that was kind of a least favorite moment? Maybe it was something just didn't go right or anything like that?
I don't remember. I think, everything was pretty smooth. We had it down pat. The way we shot it, it was almost like what you would see on the air, which, with commercials, I think it was like 44 minutes out of the hour. So they take 16 minutes out of commercials. So we pretty much shot it in that time.
Awesome.
Like a 7-minute break, then go to a commercial, 10 minutes, commercial, 5. So it was pretty, it ran pretty smoothly. And as far as the artists, they were all great. All of them were great. There was no one was a diva. No one gave us a problem. Yeah. There was no, demands on the set or anything like that.
Yeah. I remember one of my favorite moments was when Ted Nugent edified Bruno Mars on the show, because you were like, who are you liking lately? And he's like, I don't know if your audience is gonna like this, but I like Bruno Mars, man. He's bringing back that old James Brown vibe. I was like, very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah, Ted was one of my favorite guests. He was great, and then he played guitar too, and just he was awesome.
Yeah. I was trying to remember. Michael Schenker was on the show playing guitar up off stage one night, right? Up in the stands. Yeah. That was great. I loved that.
And then Schenker jammed with Kirk Hammett from Metallica.
Oh man.
They did a little jam together too.
Yeah. You get to see, when you do a show like that, you get to see some kind of firsts, right? You're like,
yeah,
hey, we brought these two guys together, and it's kind of fun, It's like the name.
Yeah, Kirk was a huge fan of Michael Schenker, so when he found out he wanted to come on, he was going to be on the show, he wanted to be on, and was like, "You want to go jam with him?" He's like, "I'd love that." So
that metal show, bringing people together.
Yeah.
So I don't. Well, maybe I don't want to get into that right now. I was just gonna get a comedian's view, because that's why you're coming into town. You're gonna be here tomorrow, and then you'll be here through Sunday. Are you doing a show on Sunday, or are you doing other things on
No,
Sunday?
just Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yeah, 2 shows, Friday and Saturday, 1 show tomorrow night.
Yeah.
So I just thought I'd get your comedian's view on a few things. How about the election? How did you feel about all of that?
No, look, I'm against censorship and free speech and all that stuff. I'm for. So for me, it was great, because it seemed like it was going towards, banning everything, everyone getting in trouble for cracking jokes on stage, people getting canceled. And I think, America voted and said, hey, listen, we're tired of that stuff. We're tired of, walking on eggshells. So, I'll go whatever way is going to give me free speech and not censor me or get me in trouble. My shows got canceled in Seattle about 6 months ago because of that. Yeah. It was all over the news and stuff like that, because they said their progressive values don't align with my stand-up comedy. So I was like, whatever. So I'm happy as a comic. I'm happy because I want to be able to say what I want to say and not be able to get canceled all the time and get in trouble for certain words.
Right. And if you don't like it, don't tune in, right?
Yeah, that, and that just, when you set that precedent, then when people come into a comedy club or you put a video out, they hear that word, whatever it is that offends them, and they just go crazy. And they just pounce on you and stuff. So, hopefully that stuff's over with now. People got to get over it. Take a joke.
Right. How about the Tyson-Paul fight?
I said they're going to be hugging each other and just like barely boxing for 8 rounds. I was like, Jake Paul's not going to knock Tyson out. I highly doubt it, because Tyson's a legend, and he's going to look like an idiot beating up, knocking out a 50-year-old man. That's basically how the fight went.
Yeah, it was like an exhibition. It was just like, okay, we're going to go out and pop each other a couple of times, and maybe one a little more than the other, but there were some pissed off people.
Well, Jake Paul, you knew that Jake Paul was like, he let up on it. He could have knocked him out in that 3rd round easily, and he didn't. And he laid all off him. And that was the right move. You don't want to see a 58-year-old man on the ground laying there.
No. And how about the current state of comedy, the comedy industry? Is it on the rise at this point? As someone who's a part of it, is it on the rise, or is it maintaining?
No, it's bigger than ever. I mean, there's a million, probably 10, 15 comics that are selling out arenas at this point. You could find, you can. You don't have to go to TV route anymore and have a sitcom on TV to build an audience. You could build it yourself. And there's a ton of guys out there that build their own platforms and their own fan base and are selling out everywhere. So it's bigger than ever, which is great, because you don't have to rely on the networks anymore.
This is true. It's kind of the Iron Maiden strategy, right?
Yeah. It's like the punk rock. Just go play live and build up an audience.
Yeah.
And build on that audience. Keep coming back, and they'll keep coming back and giving them a good show.
Yeah.
And do it kind of like underground. There's like, probably 10 guys that are selling out arenas that aren't household names, which is crazy. You would think that they would know it, but they don't.
True. Yeah. What do you think is one of the best platforms for moving yourself along in that? I mean, we've got so many. We got Instagram, we got Facebook, we've got YouTube, we've got X.
Probably a podcast.
Okay.
I think that's where, you have your own podcast. I've been doing my own podcast for a while,
Yeah.
for
That's
years. But I think, to build your own audience that way, bring them in is usually the best way for guys to break.
Outstanding. Outstanding. Yeah, I'm looking forward to checking yours out. We could subscribe to each other. That would be great.
Perfect.
So what? Lastly, on this question thing is, what's your biggest pet peeves?
Pickleball.
I was hearing that in one of your pieces today, and I was like, I was just talking to my buddy about playing pickleball the other day, man.
The sport will be over in 3 years. That's my prediction. It's a fad, just
so?
like
Okay.
just like rollerblading was, and just like CrossFit was, and throwing an axe in a bar. It's the same stuff. It's the same goofy stuff.
I can't see. I'm just trying to put those two sports together: axe throwing and pickleball.
Well, no, cause it's just like a trendy thing. Like,
yes,
I remember the whole thing was, oh my God, you could drink beer and throw an axe at a bar. That's crazy. And you do it once. So yeah, that's stupid. All right, whatever. I don't need to do that anymore. And the rollerblading was for like 2 or 3 years, and it's like, racquetball. I remember when I was a kid, that was big. I mean, it's barely still around. So it's one of these trendy sports. The CrossFit 8 years ago was the biggest thing. If you didn't do CrossFit, you were an idiot. You didn't know how to work out. It was going to take over the world. Now no one talks about it. And that's what will happen with pickleball.
That's a great, I can't argue with you on that. I get it. I've seen exactly the same things you're talking about. You're absolutely right. So I'll be interested to see, because I wonder how many tennis players are out there going, what the hell are you doing painting one of my tennis courts into 2 pickleball courts? Now, if this one's taken, I can't play. So you wonder if there's somebody out there just bitching like that. And then
they definitely are. The people have been playing tennis for years. Yeah, you turn in the courts, and you turn in all these big places like these basketball complexes and the pickleball courts. It's like, okay, yeah, don't even put the name up, because in a couple of years you're going to be putting it back on the basketball.
Well, I'll tell you what. You can get out there, folks. You can check out some of the crank yankers. Those, man, I'll tell you what, dude. I've been really going through those last night and today to prepare, because I want to make sure I say it to you and in person for Meredith as well, just to say thank you for setting this up so quick, and I appreciate it.
Meredith's great. Yeah.
On it. But the crank yankers thing, check it out, folks. There's so many moments where if you dig that skin crawling, uncomfortable feeling, do you still ever, do you think about doing those? When's the last time you did one of those?
Yeah, no, I put albums out where I mess with telemarketers. It's the same thing, but it's incoming calls. And I put an album out about a year ago, so I'm still doing them.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Good. Terrorizing telemarketers.
Those are crazy. One of my favorites, I do have to say, as we're wrapping it up here, I do have to say it's the one where you brought in your character, your special ed character, and where you do the one where the guy is calling regarding a radio service, and you're like, yay, can I get like Metallica stuff?
Oh yeah, that was one of my first ones.
Yeah,
can you get Metallica on that radio? Yeah.
I love what a prick that guy is when he goes, because they're my favorite band. Yeah, they're my favorite band too. Really? You like Metallica too? Yeah, they're okay. I'm like, what the fuck is that?
I know, yeah. He didn't like Metallica.
They're my favorite band too. Yeah, they're okay. I'm like, you prick. Why would you do that? You are a sales prick. That's bad. Oh, man. Well, Jim is going to be here, like I say, tomorrow for one show at 7:30, and then 2 shows Friday evening, 2 shows Saturday evening. So make sure you get your tickets out there for the Funny Bone at the streets of St. Charles, and enjoy the show.
I'm at the Funny Bone in Westport.
Oh, wait a minute. Which night?
I'm in Westport, Funny Bone.
On which night? Oh, it's at
All 3 nights, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'm in Westport.
I'm so sorry. It's my
That's all right. Yeah, it's all right. But yeah, I'm at Westport this time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So forget that St. Charles thing. It's not over there. It's closer to me. It's right over here in Westport, about 5 minutes away. And right over off of 270, Westport at the Funny Bone. And it's going to be an amazing time. Fantastic. Jim, thank you very much for the time. And
I appreciate it. Yeah, I'll see you this weekend. You coming out to the show?
Yeah, I'm gonna make it out there. I'm trying to see if I wanted to even make it tomorrow for my birthday.
All right, yeah, come out tomorrow. Yeah.
But it's great to know it's right there too. And we'll let you get rolling. We'll wrap up the show, folks. It's been a great one, and then I will look forward to seeing you tomorrow night at the show. That'd be great.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on.
All right, thank you, brother. We will throw out this music here, too, to get us rolling on the way out. And everybody have a great evening. Enjoy the rest of your week and enjoy the weekend. Take it easy, folks.